When you're talking about your Vikings and your Celts, we're talking about Indo-European people, white folks. Now, most of our accounts of Vikings with dreadlocks is pretty scarce. Most of it can be found in written works, so there's not a lot of evidence. Of course, those written... What's good, YouTube? CB Locs here, bringing you guys another video today. Yes, today you guys are going to be bringing you 5 non-African cultural groups that wore locks. If you're interested in that video, stay tuned. Usually, you guys, if you have not done so already, please hit that like and subscribe button right now. If you have hit that like and subscribe button, definitely want to make sure that notification button stay notified on all the posts the moment I post. Let's get started. Now, the reason I'm doing this video today is because a lot of you guys want to know the full history of locks. Sad to say, that's going to take a little bit more qualified YouTuber. The history on locks is very, very murky. We do know that some of the earliest evidence of locks began in ancient Egypt. We also have some traces of it in the Minoan civilization in Greece. There are several accounts of locks throughout many different cultures for many different reasons with many different cultural practices. I specifically wanted to focus on the non-black cultures because if you're like me, you started off your journey thinking that only Africans should rock them. Africans are the only people that are rocking them today, and therefore anybody else who rocks them is cultural appropriation. I'm here to say it's a little bit more nuanced to that. If you want my full stance on what I feel and how I feel about locks, those videos are out there. Hopefully I can provide a link somewhere for you to go check on that footage as well. But we're gonna go ahead and start off with group number 1, Buddhists. The Nakpa Buddhists of Tibet believed that their hair was sacred and held powers that they are meant to carry. For many today, it's a way to let go of material vanity and excessive attachments. In many instances in medieval South Asia, locks were even required for certain rituals to be performed. Now, I wasn't able to find much information on how the locks are actually created. If it was my guess, I would say that it's probably some sort of crochet. If not crochet, potentially some sort of back combing method. When we think about most Asian hair textures, the hair texture is very loose, typically in that 1 and the 2. Sometimes you get some curlier hair textures, generally not though. So the idea that these straighter hair textures were able to maintain these locks were also held in high distinction and even spiritual favor, I think speaks pretty highly. I think when you start to identify these groups, you start to realize that locks really could bring a lot of us together. It seemed like a lot of our culture seemed to understand the beauty of them. So the idea of them all being dirty or associated to gang violence and criminals, I wonder where that came from.
That is Caucasian from the mountains of Caucasus.
That is group number 1. Speaking of white people, I think it'd be remiss if I didn't include my Celts and my Vikings. When you're talking about your Vikings and your Celts, we're talking about Indo-European people, white folks. Now, most of our accounts of Vikings with dreadlocks is pretty scarce. Most of it can be found in written works, so there's not a lot of evidence. Of course, those written works do tell tales of warriors that are, adorned hair that looks like locks, that is braided, is coming down to their backs. But at the very least, we do have some history there. Many believe that the Vikings were inspired by the Celts to adorn locks. The Celts themselves called their locks fairy locks, as they believed that fairies tangled their locks in their sleep. In the case of Vikings, scientists speculate that the long hair was used as a status symbol to differentiate from the slaves that were often shaved bald. They also believed that it was for practicality's sake. Long hair was popular for men in those times, and locks were a great way to keep the hair out of the way in battle. They also believed that locks were intimidating to enemies. I can imagine that being maybe a little bit intimidating, but I'm also black and I'm constantly being told that I'm intimidating for wearing locks, so
That's cap. I accuse you of capping.
The point I'm trying to make is that Europeans have adorned locks over the course of history. The Minoan civilization in Greece also has several accounts of locks, whether it be in figurines, whether it be in pictures, all over the place. We can pretty much definitively say that at some point in history, white people have worn locks as well. And this is why I really never get into the cultural appropriation thing, because I'm just not about to police your hair. I'm not about to culture police and be like, wait a minute. You really identify as a Celt?
You really a Viking?
I'm gonna let people do what they do, and I'm gonna just ask that they understand the plight of the people that are being disenfranchised for having the style. That's it. Unity, baby. That's all I'm asking for. But those are people number 2. Now, group number 3, Indians following Hinduism. Now, this one is pretty undeniable as well, you guys. Not only can you find modern day Indians rocking locks, you can also look to Shiva, the deity, who's also depicted wearing locks in many of her depictions. Shiva was said to have taja, or twisted locks of hair. Many of Shiva's followers took on locks to declare the commitment to their spiritual growth and resist earthly desires and temptations. However, in India, locks are often reserved for holy people and represent a certain spiritual devotion. I think it's really cool that there's so much overlap between Buddhism and Hinduism. The fact that they both hold them in high spiritual regard, I think speaks volumes. Very indicative of the Nazarite vow, very indicative of how modern day Rastafarians adorn their locks as well. Again, another proof of how connected we are, how much overlap there is, how the notion of cultural appropriation is pretty nuanced. It's literally not black and white, or brown, or shades of brown, or olive. I don't want to say yellow. That is people number 3. Now, people number 4, Native Americans, particularly the Cree and Mojave tribes. In many tribes, it is believed that a person's long hair represents a strong cultural identity. This strong cultural identity promotes self-esteem, self-respect, a sense of belonging, and a healthy sense of pride. As part of the practice in self-respect, the Cree were taught to take good care of their hair through proper grooming. Locks and their ornamentation are guided by the values of family and tribe. It is a form of creative self-expression that reinforces connection to family, tribe, and creation. But I do think a theme has sort of developed with all of the groups that we've seen so far. All of them seem to maintain these locks and their hair in high regard, in a spiritual regard, or are using them to distance themselves from materialism. All of the themes that we've uncovered thus far from all the groups seem to kind of coincide with one another. And if you take them all and sort of treat them like this Pangea concept, it's actually a beautiful philosophy. But yes, that is people number 4. People number 5, I kind of already gave that one to you. It was the Greeks when I was speaking of the Celts and the Vikings. So rather than saying it again, I'll just draw this video to a close, okay? From doing just a little bit of the research, you guys, I can say that this video was very difficult to make because there's a lot of information out there. This was just my attempt to get you guys some information because if you're like me, a lot of this was brand new. I also want to say that just because there are multiple groups with locks, this does not mean that all groups are impacted the same. I think it is very important for us to be very critical of natural hair policies and how they impact black and brown individuals particularly, especially in a civilization that is primarily Eurocentric, in a world that is Eurocentric. Again, you guys, hope you found this video useful. Hopefully you found it entertaining. Hope you enjoyed it. It's been TV Locs. Signing out.
TV Locs fam, what is going on? You already know it's your boy Backpack Beatz. If you like the music on my homie TP's channel, definitely come over to my channel. I got more of these. I'm making beats every week. I'm also DJing every week for the No More Free Beat Show. So definitely make sure you stay tuned in. Got a lot of stuff popping. I appreciate everybody who's been coming from TP's channel as well. I'm almost at 1,000 subscribers, so I really appreciate y'all for coming through, showing love. It's nothing but a community over here for real. We got the dope vibes. So definitely stay tuned to what we're doing on TP's channel. Make sure you stay tuned to what I'm doing on my channel also. And it's gonna be fire, man. Dope beats, dope music, dope vibes. Appreciate y'all.